Hello, hello, hello. I don't have my intro music today. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Gotta give everyone a few minutes to decompress because it is a weekday and it's somewhat should be like happy hour for everyone, right? Oh, I forgot to hit Instagram. Let me take care of Instagram, y'all. Thanks for your patience. And thanks for letting everyone get a moment to get settled. So while we're waiting for me to get it together, um, I got a new screen protector, and every time I press a button, it's an adventure. And is it gonna work this time? So it's kind of working, but it's like this not straightforward way to type. And I really wish my little guy could kind of be my special guest co-host like his sister's done before, but he's getting ready to leave, supposedly. We'll see what happens. Yeah, some thus far he should have been gone. I actually had a whole different plan, but today has been a day of adjustments. And it fits really well with today's theme for the podcast. We are going to be talking about fate versus coincidence. So again, hello, hello, hello. Let me do a whole proper introduction. My name is Tamika. I am the podcast host for LITE Firestarters. LITE is sponsored by Love Inspired Teachee, also known as LITE Consulting, which is a sales and marketing agency that produces the show, more or less. So, as far as Love Inspired Teaching and the Light Firestarters podcast, we're here to talk to you about spicy topics related to lifestyle and wellness. And it's been going on for a while now. So if you are someone who has followed for a while, thank you. If you're someone who's checking it out for the first time, thank you. Don't forget to go ahead, ring the notification bell, hit subscribe, do all the fun things that everybody likes to do. I had another thought of something else I was supposed to be doing. So I'm going to get to that while we settle in for this topic. And like I said, the topic for today is going to be fate versus coincidence. I'm sure there are things that happen in all of our lives that give us pause, that make us feel like, is this really happening? What's going on? Is like, how could this be? Uh, And if you follow, you also know when it comes to the fact that this is a podcast about lifestyle and wellness, the twist and turn recently has been I have now begun sharing my journey for breast cancer. And that's one thing. But also, the when you think about your day and the little things that happen in it, how do you reframe your brain to say, okay, like, is God playing a joke on me? Am I being pranked? Hey, if you are someone who used to watch MTV in its heyday, Pranked was a great show, right? Um, and when you think about like meeting Ashton Kutcher at that time, it was like, that would be kind of cool. No, he was pranking other celebrities, but a lot of times people feel like their path is some people feel like their path is predetermined, and others feel like, why is this happening to me? What led to this? Are the things that happen just a coincidence? So we're gonna put that on a hot pause. Hey buddy, daddy's here. Can you go ahead, give me my hug and go ahead and head outside. I'm on double duty today, so thanks for bearing with me a little bit. um I love you. I love you too. Tell daddy to text me once you get in the car. I'll see you tomorrow. Get to meet my little sunshine. He doesn't actually like to be on camera. But in any case, back to what we were talking about, fate versus coincidence. So when you think about your roughest, toughest, worst days, when you are being challenged, when you are looking up at the world and be like, why me? Little dog, come here. Why is this happening? Why is it so loud? Why is Lilia? I guess you guys are gonna meet my dog too. Lilia, come here. Say hi to another coincidence in my life. So, um, I wanted to come up with like more. I don't like to use celebrity examples, but I do like to do things that all people can relate to. Like it, let's say, let's just use the dog as an example. Let's say that, you found a dog, a stray dog. My daughter wanted me to get a stray cat. Do you think that's something that is coincidence, or do you think it's something that's fate? And I know that it really depends on what you believe and how you choose to view things. When the data on people who are the most resilient, the people who are strong, it has so much to do with their attitude. One of my favorite quotes for a long time was, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% your attitude towards it. It's a quote by Charles Swindoll. It actually goes way longer than that. Let me go ahead and look it up for y'all. But a lot of things can happen to you. And some of them, when you're in it, may not seem like something that is beneficial to you. But have you ever heard the story of someone who was like, oh my God, God, why me? Why did I get in a car accident? Why did I get pulled over? Why was I late to work? Why did all these things happen to me? And the parable or story goes, God says, I saved you from death by causing you to be late and causing you to get pulled over by a cop and for your car to, yes, be in an accident. But had I not done that, you would have faced certain death. So in that instance, is it more fate or was it coincidence? According to God, he had this predetermined plan to stop things from happening for you, but who could really say? But all of it really comes down to how your perspective, how you're going to perceive it. And if you want to believe that it's coincidence, great. If you want to believe that it is fate, you're right. I'm a firm believer in whatever you say goes. And if that's what you strongly believe, you can make that right. So I found the quote from Charles Swindoll. It is, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react to it. But the longer version of it, oh, I thought this was the longer version. There's a longer version that's like that tail end of it. I had it somewhere else. And because of the fire, it'll be harder to find. This dog is hilarious. She just used her nose to push my hand back around her. Okay, we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for the day. Life is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. Our attitude is everything. It's still not 100% the quote. Here it is. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failures, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I'm convinced that life is 90% or 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. So it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. And that's why this question of fate versus coincidence is interesting, but probably a little bit more irrelevant, just because whether it is fate or coincidence, you get to choose how you're going to go about it. So if you believe in your heart of hearts that everything that happens in your day-to-day life was already predetermined, you still have a level of control, because how you respond to it is still giving you the ability to influence what the impact of, you know, getting your car broken into, or um finding out you have cancer, or you break a bone. Your attitude is going to play such a huge role. But let's say it's fate. Let's say, um I'm sorry, didn't I just talk about fate? Maybe I Yeah, predetermined, so that's fate. Yes, so that's what we were on, fate. But let's say it's a coincidence. Uh if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see that I talked about um some parallels there. So just a little bit more background about me. My upbringing was in sports, and my parents got divorced, but my dad, who raised me, happened to marry a woman after he got divorced from my mom, who coincidentally worked for the same company I worked for. And early on in, I think it was their relationship, or was it their marriage? I can't recall. She found out she had breast cancer. So don't speak to my dad anymore. I should say more like he doesn't speak to me. And my guess is it's just easier for him to make excuses and come up with reasons to like cut ties completely. Like when I say my dad raised me, I mean, when I was a child, a little kid, I had the choice of whether I could call him dad or I could call him by his name. So if you're a White Sox fan, you'll know who Kenny Williams was. I could have called him Kenny, but I was like, nope, you're my dad now. We're leaning into this. And I think I was like in the third grade when I first was introduced to my dad. And then he paid for my college education. Let's put that out there. I think in the divorce, my mom ended up having to like finish off the balance or something. I don't 100% recall. Here she goes again. But um my dad and I don't speak, but even though our lives are no longer as consistently impacted by one another. Like I clearly think about him frequently, regularly, but I don't speak to him. His mom, my grandmother, my mama, who I was super, super close to, but when it comes to divorce, you have to pick or choose, right? Well, he made everyone pick or choose. But with her, she she also has cancer of some sort too. Um, but why did I bring up mama? It was something, I lost that train of thought. But regardless, when it comes to, you know, the decisions you make, the fracture in the family, you would think that, oh, it was because she still keeps track of me as well. Like it's weird. Like I got a friend request at like midnight. And do I think that was coincidence or fate? At this point it kind of doesn't matter which one it was. I don't think it was a coincidence. I do think that people come into your life for a reason. Their impact to you is far reaching, and just the my dad and I were super duper close, right? Um, you know, people in my family thought I was his favorite. I even felt like I was on some kind of pedestal with him. I love my dad. I miss my dad. And then for him to choose a woman, and like I've struggled to get him to spend quality time with me once he met his current wife. And I think it's crazy that, not only did we ultimately end up working for the same company, it was crazy because she had left Chicago. She had left the news world because she was on the news. And she worked for CNN, and then she came back to Chicago and started working for the same company as me. And also during their relationship, she decided to have a double mastectomy. Do I think that that's pure coincidence? A part of me doesn't really think it's a coincidence. A part of me wants to really lean in and believe we are more interconnected than we want to give credit to. And the reason for that is that it's scary. But where I want to take this podcast today is whether you believe in fate or coincidence, you shouldn't fear either one, right? Because these situations that I'm talking about, the ones that stand out in your mind are most likely the ones that are uncomfortable. Most likely the ones where you're like, oh, really? Did that have to happen? There are sometimes happy coincidences and happy fates that people talk about, but more than likely you hear about crazy things happening. As I reflect on this past year, even let's, you know, if you follow the podcast, if you don't follow the podcast, let me give you my year thus far in review. Uh, yeah, my grandmother passed in February, and I was very close to my grandmother. And the difficult part about that is my family members, for in their wisdom or whatever, were making it extraordinarily difficult for me to spend quality time with her. And then she passed, and that was a sucker punch. And then a week before her funeral, and those same family members that I was clearly upset with for making it difficult for someone who was very close for me and her to communicate, uh, those same family members I had to face again because she passed, and then my house caught on fire. My house caught on fire. It's uninhabitable. I live in temporary in a short-term rental. So temporary housing, but short-term rental, and which has to be renewed, by the way. And then I got my breast cancer diagnosis. Not long after that, or it was a while after that, but my car got totaled. This is alone in this year things that have happened. I had a seizure, and then um just today I had another incident with my car. So it has been a doozy of a year. And people will frequently say to me, "Hey, Tamika, all these things that happened to you this year, some people would be like absolutely crushed by it, or some people would be depressed by it." I tend to take it in stride. And I guess the thing I didn't include on the list that I think is relevant is I'm in family court. I feel family court is counterproductive. And I find that there's got to be a purpose to it. And if anything that I gained that's a positive is it forced me to dig in, have resolve, not to let things shake me so much. I have my moments, but I've realized and I noticed myself that the moments that I struggle are far less than most other people would. So, do I think that it was fate? Do I think it was coincidence? I think a little bit of both. And every time I find, especially this year, I have to admit, like, when you meet people where you're like, man, they're really going through it, it does give you pause sometimes to be like, what are they doing that's causing this? Like, why does the so much weight come on them? Or you meet people who are like, why is the weight of the world on your shoulders? And the best thing I can say I've done for myself is trying to practice those concepts of mindfulness and staying in the moment and not letting myself get weighed down, because that will make your health worse. That will create more stress in your life. And what purpose does that really serve? Very little. So when it comes down to fate or coincidence, um, I think we've got to find balance. And if you want to pick one or the other to believe in, that's fine. It's not necessary, but it's fine. You get to choose, you get to decide. And fate means that you don't have control. But even in the moments where you don't have control, there's purpose behind it, right? So perhaps it's best to lean into that purpose. And like I started off saying, choose the best attitude. The way you handle a situation, the way you approach it is going to make all the difference in the world. So I want to just take a quick little breather from these concepts that are, I feel like, in a lot of ways, very esoteric, very conceptual. Um, but the spicy topics that we cover don't always have to be clean cut and straightforward. And I want to just take a break to shout out um, the fact that the podcast has been going strong, but our consulting services are are the services that we offer are growing. We've fleshed out a lot more details behind it. So please feel free to go check out the website for, again, the company that sponsored this, which is Love Inspire Teach E. So you would go to love, spelled out exactly like the word LOVE, inspire, not inspiration, but inspire, INSPIRETEACHE.com. And you will see that the prices are there, the coaching opportunities are there, the consulting opportunities are listed there, and we'd be happy to have you on the podcast. So if you're someone who enjoys sharing your vision, sharing your knowledge, maybe you're not a public speaker per se, but you have something that you feel is important to share with other people, consider coming on the podcast. We'd be happy to have you. And we have 3 podcast guests in the coming weeks. The top of mine is October 1st. We've got a booking. We're in talks with another great spiritual person. And then, oh, and then I reached out to someone who is a leader in the grief space, because let's face it, some of the things we face, whether it's caused by fate or coincidence, creates a lot of sadness in us, and that needs to be addressed. So when we promote the fact that Light Firestarters has now shifted our podcast focus to lifestyle and wellness. We're doing a lot to really make sure that everyone's minds and hearts and spirits are healthy, and that you feel like you've got a source for that freedom of expression. And if you haven't joined already, please feel free to join our Facebook group, Lighters of Light, Love Inspired Teach. Sorry, Lighters of Love Inspired Teach E. You want to make sure that that light that's within you that shines is shared with the world, but maybe in a more controlled space. So we have that for you as well. Um, so let's get back into fate versus coincidence. Um, I think the other thing I want to leave you with, besides the idea that your attitude is important, but and knowing that whatever happens to you serves a purpose, but also a lot of times people's belief in fate versus coincidence has a lot to do with whether or not they have chosen a certain, like, I hate to put it in these terms, but the fact of the matter is sometimes you got to call a spade a spade. So whether or not you're religious and what your religion dictates probably influences your beliefs related to fate versus coincidence, because there's so many people that lean into, whether you call them God, you call him Father Abraham, whether you speak to the Hindu gods, uh, you know, all the different higher powers that are out there kind of give you a blueprint, they give you a guide, and depending on how deep into the teachings you are what will determine whether or not you believe in fate versus coincidence. Clearly the people that believe in reincarnation, Hindus, uh they are going to find that, yes, fate is a big part of their lives, but they're still able to choose what path they're going to go on. So I'm going to leave you with that thought that religion plays a role in all this. Whether you choose to have a religion or not is up to you. Maybe you just believe in a higher power. I do know some agnostics. I met an atheist yet? I believe I might have. That area I'm not as familiar with, so I'm gonna leave that alone. But I really want you all to, again, leave this podcast as mumbled and jumbled as it was today, with knowing that you have control, most importantly over your attitude, that whether it's fate or coincidence, it serves a purpose in your life, and that if you choose to believe in a higher power, that'll help you navigate both the fates and coincidences in your life. So thank you so much for joining. Thank you for your support. If you ever want to become a sponsor of the podcast, feel free to email us at hello@loveinspiredteache.com, or you can always send a comment, follow us on Instagram. Don't forget to do all the things like subscribe, ring the notification bell, comment, share. And I hope to see you in 2 weeks when we podcast again. Remember, the Light Firestarters podcast is every other Tuesday. So the next podcast will be September 2nd. And hopefully we'll have a few more guests lined up for you at that point in time. But you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on Instagram. We've moved away from LinkedIn. And I appreciate you guys so much. Have a great night. Mwah. Bye.